Remember Lois Lerner? Remember the targeting of conservative groups? Well, the IRS is up to its old tricks. House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz joins the show. Mr. Chairman, give us an update. What is the IRS up to now?
Well, evidently, they have destroyed even more documents. There was another case where the IRS, by a judge's order, was supposed to provide documents, and yet again, you would think they would have learned this lesson, but they evidently didn't. They went ahead and destroyed these documents. So they're under a judge's order, preserve the documents. They don't, they shred them. And who's going to be held accountable? I really do believe that it is far past time to impeach the IRS commissioner.
Well, we've seen a pattern of abuse here by the IRS, and yet we've known about it for years. So if I'm a viewer out there watching this show, I'm very frustrated. What exactly can Congress do? Well,
we have cut their funding by hundreds of millions of dollars to almost no effect. The only thing that happens is they stop answering their telephones from those that they serve and that they're paid for, the American taxpayers. The president doesn't get this. He doesn't even think there's a smidgen of corruption, according to him. They put John Koskinen in it, and it's actually in place, and it's gotten worse, not better. And a judge is going to have to, we'll see what the judicial branch does, because now, under a judge's order, they have destroyed documents. We'll see how the judge feels about that. That's still pending.
What is the case against IRS Chief John Koskinen?
Well, he has a fiduciary responsibility when there's a duly issued subpoena to provide and protect those documents, and then, in our case, provide them to Congress, and he didn't live up to that. There are a series of other things that both the Ways and Means Committee and the Oversight Committee and others, as Senate Finance under Senator Orrin Hatch, have asked for, that they continue not to live up to. And it's a vital agency, 90,000 employees, but they seem to pay no attention to what Congress is doing and asking, and we've cut their funding, but it doesn't seem to affect them.
Do you believe that the IRS is continuing to target conservative groups? Is there any evidence of that?
Well, there's no evidence that they actually fixed and solved the problem. And so in the case of providing documents, that's how we provide that sort of oversight. That's how the Inspector General is able to get in and look under the hood. So I can't say definitively. If they have a positive case to make, then make that case. But when they won't provide the documents, when they defy judges' orders, when they just blow by subpoenas, I don't have a way of verifying.
Is there any support from Democrats to audit the IRS or to take Koskinen out of that role? Is this a bipartisan issue in any way, shape, or form?
What is interesting is how silent they are. You don't hear anything from them. So we've had editorials, and other people across the country have said, yes, impeaching the IRS commissioner under the Constitution, it's not used very often, but that is a remedy that the Congress has. But I've had no Democrats say, oh, that's too far.
And when you personally approach your colleagues across the aisle, what do they say? Are they getting pressured from the White House? Politically, do they think this is a loser?
When the President of the United States on Super Bowl Sunday goes before the American people and says there's not even a smidgen of corruption, that's pretty much a signal to the rest of the team, don't you dare say a word. But they're silent, and their silence speaks volumes, I think.
Okay. House Oversight Chairman Jason Chaffetz.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. There's another Iran scandal brewing on Capitol Hill, this time having to do with U.S. security laws. Jason Chaffetz, the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman, stays with the show. Mr. Chairman, I just want to set this up because it's a bit of a complicated issue. 38 countries are allowed to get expedited visas to the United States. After San Bernardino, the U.S. Congress passes a law that says if you've been to a state sponsor of terrorism and you're coming from one of these countries, you can't get a quick and easy visa. You have to go through the normal process. Why would the administration try to go around this law that the president signed?
I don't know. It seems like common sense with the threat of that's impending here on the United States of America. So you not only have the visa waiver problem, you have the refugee problem and what sort of interviews and what sort of vetting there. And one of the things that's never talked about is asylum. Asylum numbers are up by huge, huge numbers. So we got to deal with all three, but the basic principle is vet these people. And when the FBI director says, look, I can't vet these people properly, then it's time for us to take a time out.
So I'm sitting in, let's say, France, and I can get an easy visa to come to the United States, but I decide to take a trip to Iran. Can I not get a visa into the U.S., or does it just take me a little bit longer under this program?
You should just take a little bit longer. We need to actually examine that, look at it, and make a determination. And so that's a little bit of suspicion suspicious behavior if you're going and spending some time in Iran right now. And I think that's a reasonable thing to do, given all the terrorist attacks around the world. We just want to take a few more minutes is really what it ends up being. But boy, this administration doesn't want to do that. They just want the flow as fast as they can.
So the president signs the law and then says, actually, never mind, I'm going to do a favor for Tehran to let their people in more easily?
We don't have enough time in the show to list out the number of times that the Congress has passed something that the president ignores. For instance, we're supposed to, in this country, have an entry-exit program. We don't know in this country if you've actually left the country. Remember the bombing in Boston? Well, those people came here under asylum saying, oh, if I go back to my home country, I'll be killed. They go and leave and go back to that country.
So what's the solution? Do we privatize the program? Do we fire the chiefs of all of these agencies and bring new people in? What do you say?
You have to have a president that has the political will to do the heavy lifting to actually enforce the laws that are currently on the books. I blame past Republican administrations. George W. Bush wasn't that much better at this. And I blame the Obama administration. Think about it. We have 66,000 people that were in this country illegally, committed a crime, were convicted, and they didn't deport them. They let them back out onto the streets. And it's law that they're supposed to be deported.
So is Congress going to pass another law that says, no, Mr. President, we really want people who travel through state sponsors of terrorism to get a closer look when they want to come to the United States?
I don't know how many more times we can pass a law that says we really, really mean it this time. I mean, we've already had these laws are already on the books. But the American people ultimately have to hold them accountable. And that's why I don't think Hillary Clinton should be the next president of the United States. She's been part of that administration and part of that same attitude and approach.
Okay. House Oversight Chairman Jason Chaffetz.
Thank you.
Thanks for